Entire disciplines have been devoted to understanding how our ancestors lived, and this task is not always an easy one. Frequently, historians and archaeologists have to puzzle fragments of pottery or tools to try to quite literally piece together how our ancestors survived. It would certainly be easier if the ancients had spelled it out for us, which is why records of books, scrolls, or writings of any kind are especially valued when attempting to understand the past. Finds of this nature can prove accounts of daily life, intricacies of religion, or even marvelous advances in technology. However, frequently such apparently simple discoveries can leave us with more questions about the past than they answer. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 mysterious books that have shed some light on our ancestors and left us asking more questions. The Pikatrix. The Pikatrix is the Latin title given to an ancient book written in Arabic that dates back to the 10th or 11th century and contains spells and occult instructions for nearly all aspects of life. Its Arabic title translates to the aim of the sage, or the goal of the wise, and it contains such detailed descriptions of magic and astrology that it has become highly influential in many cultures all over the world. Grouped into 4 books, each containing several chapters, the Pikatrix covers nearly any subject that an ancient magical practitioner could wish to master, including the motion of the planets and stars and their effects on Earth, how to communicate with these celestial bodies, summoning spirits, avoiding harmful spirits, magic and its properties, drawing the vigor of the moon for use on Earth, and creating scientific compounds for experimentation. Most of the instructional recipes contained in the Pikatrix are intended to bend astrological and natural forces towards a personal will, bringing about a desired outcome such as finding treasure, exterminating rodents, healing the sick, and the list goes on and on. However, the recipes and concoctions included within the pages of this book are not for the faint of heart, an aspect that has contributed greatly to its notoriety. Some of the more dangerous ingredients include blood, bodily excretions, and brain matter, as well as a litany of psychoactive medication and hallucinogenic plants. Ingesting the contents of a recipe from this book would result in an altered state of consciousness or even loss of life. John Michael Greer's translation of one recipe states, "Take 4 ounces of the blood of a black dog, 2 ounces each of pig's blood and brains, and 1 ounce of donkey brains. Mix all this together until well blended. When you give this medicine to someone in food or drink, he will hate you." Perhaps it doesn't take an expert in astrology and the occult to know this much. The Pikatrix is also a book with enormous historical insights, despite the dubious and frequently dangerous contents. Some scholars believe that the unusual formatting is indicative of a student or students who were taking notes, as if during a lecture, and the book represents the common teachings of the era, although no true proof backs this theory up. Researchers also attribute the beginnings of the scientific method for experimentation to the document, which may have occurred as the passages were translated from Arabic to Hebrew. These rudimentary methods include the formation of a hypothesis and the creation of controlled conditions under which the hypothesis may be tested. Regardless of whether these theories are truly accurate or not, the Pikatrix represents several common themes that were apparent in ancient times. Among these are the fascination with magical powers, especially as a way to explain that which was still rendered unexplainable by the limitations of the science of the day, and the manipulation of the natural world to an individual's will. Despite the efficacy of the recipes within, the Pikatrix is an invaluable tool for scholars seeking a greater understanding of the society of the day. Arbiter de Magia Veterum. The Arabic culture is not the only one whose ancient ancestors left instructive magical texts for historians to puzzle over. The Arbiter de Magia Veterum was a Latin book published in 1575 in Switzerland, when publication and distribution of printed works was only just beginning to take off. Translated, the title becomes Arbiter, on the magic of ancients, and scholars believe that it insinuates that the knowledge contained within the pages is from a divine or prophetic source. Although the book does deal with magic, its nature would have appealed to the people of the time, as it describes in a clear and uncomplicated manner the positive relationship between humanity and celestial hierarchies, and does not contain what would have been regarded as black magic by skeptics of the day. In fact, it frequently quotes the Bible as a source and advocates kindness, charity, and honesty in the user. However, it is not a religious text and is a straightforward grimoire that instructs the magus in spells and lifestyle, albeit a generally harmless one. Despite grimoires being relatively common for the age, the Arbiter de Magia Veterum was groundbreaking in its approach to handling the matters of the worldly. It was one of the first works to use terms such as theosophy, anthroposophy, and theosophia as differentiators of knowledge sources both divine and human in nature. The simple, straightforward, and positive nature of this grimoire made it incredibly influential in its day, and it is still regarded as an invaluable historical document. However, due to the widespread Christian beliefs at the time, which thoroughly and completely vilified anything with a magical origin, the book was banned in many churches and learning institutions, and those who studied the grimoire despite this were frequently punished with expulsion. It did not help its popularity that several accused witches in the centuries following the publication attributed their spells to the Arbiter. Despite this, many continued to study the work, and several scholars viewed the book as more religious in nature, claiming that the spells in question were not really spells, but religious ceremonies that provided a vessel to speak to God. Because of its history and contents, the Arbiter de Magia Veterum is still studied to this day, although now it is cited by historians with much more regularity than mages. Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum. Some ancient occult texts are not so harmless in nature. The Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum, or the False Monarchy of Demons, is an abridged grimoire that was first published as an appendix to the De Praestigiis Daemonum, a treatise on witchcraft written by Johann Weyer in 1563. This grimoire is more sinister and lists 69 demons and their respective hierarchies in the spirit world, as well as relevant procedures for conjuring each of them. The spirits were generally the same ones that appear to have been known to the populations of the day, as the list is very similar to other demonic texts such as the Lesser Key of Solomon, the Office of Spirits, and Ars Goetia, all of which list nearly identical demons within their pages. They are referred to this appendix as the Book of the Offices of Spirits, or the book called Empto, Salomonis concerning the princes and kings of the demons. However, the list was not invented by Weyer, and much of it was redacted by the author in an attempt to make the work potentially useless in actually summoning the demons within. However, it appears to be based on an earlier 15th century manuscript titled Le Livre des Esprits, that lists much the same information as the Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum. Additionally, the name of the work implies that the author did not prescribe to the idea of a darker spirit world and believed that the hierarchy in his text was false. Weyer intended the work to make fun of the idea of the demonic hierarchies included in his work, which were worshipped by witches at the time. A student of the occult, Weyer spent much of his time attempting to protect those who were accused of practicing witchcraft, and claimed in the Pseudo-Monarchia that although demons and monsters from hell could have power over people, the ones to blame were the petty magicians who tricked others for money, not the witches, whom he called the mentally ill. Despite these claims, the text goes on to describe the process of summoning demons and forcing them to do the summoner's bidding, as a witch, not a petty magician, would do. Ironically, rather than being insulted by the name and insinuations of the work, people across history instantly began using the document as a resource for their interactions with demons, and the False Monarchy of Demons became one of the most influential and infamous catalogues of the demons and their methods of summoning. It is considered a classic among demonology and has influenced the contents of grimoires and black magic practitioners for centuries, even more so than the previous work that it was based on. In fact, Sigmund Freud himself called the work one of the 10 most significant books of all time. Occasionally, a book written several centuries ago is influential enough that it remains relevant well into the present day, even if just a tool to study the society of long ago. These grimoires and books of magic have been instructing practitioners of the occult for centuries, and their function has shifted slightly so that they now instruct present-day scholars about the mysteries and beliefs of their time. Although these books are mysterious in themselves, full as they are of dark magic and potentially dangerous spells, they are an invaluable source of study for scholars of today. But what do you make of these mysterious books? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.